welcome to another episode of the Sugar and Spikes podcast, and the second in kind of a mini-series that we're doing, because I felt like it, and it seemed like a good time to kind of come up with some theme episodes, and everybody really loved the buzzwords that sound sexy but aren't thing. Oh. So I figured I'd continue on with the theming. Mm-hmm. I'm your faithful and ever-present host, Des, and we have everybody's other favorite host, Tammy.
Hello!
Guest host. Whatever type of host you want her to be. And today we're following up on the last podcast that we did, which was all about kind of setting goals, and we weren't talking about New Year's resolutions, even though we're doing this around the New Year's time.
Yeah, I would think it's just kind of a time when goals come up, but I think it's for the whole year.
Yeah. So we talked about that, and we kind of ended with like this idea of like when you want to give up, or when things are looking a bit dark, or like
when the universe doesn't give you signs that you're succeeding.
Yeah, when you feel like you're fighting for something and it's just not going great, or if like you had a schedule of stuff that you wanted to do, like let's say you are running a blog and you want to take out all of these things, edit and stuff, and then the day you wanted to edit stuff comes up and you end up like binging Netflix instead of doing all the things.
Yeah.
Like when things get in the way, like how do you keep up with goals and pieces like that?
So how do you keep going when you have kind of fallen off the path?
Yeah. Exactly.
For the day, for the week, for the month, for the year, whatever you're kind of talking about.
How do you get your groove back?
Yeah. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I think the important piece, like one of the foundational pieces, is realizing that it happens. Like, I saw this thing on Instagram the other day that I thought was just really poignant and spot on, which was it was like a heart rhythm going, and it said if you flatline, you're dead. Like if life has no like ups and downs, then you're just dead. And I thought that was so true to like motivation and inspiration around doing things.
I love that.
Yeah, like I thought it was really cool and such a good point.
I really like that.
So the foundational idea is there are going to be times where you don't have the motivation. There are going to be times where life gets in the way. And I think like knowing that and then prepping for that is what's going to put you miles ahead of someone else that just thinks everything's going to go exactly the way I want it.
Absolutely. So like what you're kind of talking about is how do you be flexible when things kind of get off the path, when things kind of have gone awry somewhere. And I think that any point that things go kind of off where you expect them to go, every point that happens is a point to stop and to say, okay, things have gone way off into left field. Things have gone way beyond where I thought they would. And so how am I going to regroup?
Yes.
And that could be the first time it happens. It can be starting from the first point and going many ways off on this tangent that you didn't expect. But there's always points to stop, always opportunities to stop, no matter how far down that other road you've gone, to say, okay, how do I turn around and get things back on track?
And I think even before that piece, there's a moment to decide, do I want to get back on track? Or is it like, because you mentioned it really briefly, but like, is this track another way I want to go down? And there's some like serious work that can be done just in those moments.
Yes.
Because I was talking with someone a few months ago where I was like, I was working on a financial goal. Okay. And I was like, I have this goal and I thought that it was what I really wanted, but then I have this bigger goal and this bigger picture idea, and that's where my energy and my passion is behind. But I feel like walking away from this other one, maybe like I can't hold space for both, and it was just like this really messy moment.
Yeah.
And this person was like, well, like you can change the rules, like you can change your mind, you can change whatever you want. And what's making you want to? Like, is it fear? Is it this self-doubt? What's going on around all of that?
Yeah.
So, like,
Those opportunities for self-reflection are really meaningful. Like, flexibility is really important, right? Like, you want to be flexible. You understand, like, I always talk about when I work with clients, like, their goals, we write them down in a treatment plan, and that treatment plan is a living document.
Yes.
It can change, things adjust, things happen over time where we need to make adjustments so they're not set in stone. So you do want to have that flexibility. And also, if you're walking away from something that you think is really meaningful to you, what is the motivation behind that? Yeah. And it can be really hard to say goodbye to those goals and still be the right thing to do for you. And so it doesn't mean that it won't come with some negative feelings, some sadness, some I don't really know if I'm doing the right thing, some risk. And yet those can be present and it can still be a really good opportunity.
Oh my God, you want to know what came to mind? Are
What?
you ready to get really real about all this?
I'm ready.
When I dropped out of grad school.
Oh my gosh, yes! Yes!
Like, that encompasses so much of, like, that moment. Before we get into the rest of the podcast.
Let's just stop for a second. Let's talk about this. This is a big deal.
Like, okay, so you want to talk, like, big goals and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I had wanted my doctorate since I could remember.
Yeah.
That had been my career goal.
Forever. Like, literally forever.
Like, I had spent years, like 6 or 7 years, getting hours in the field, doing fellowships. Like, I spent 20 weeks away from my home to do research so I could apply to grad school. Like,
all these setups.
big goals.
Yeah.
And then I got into the program I wanted.
Yep.
I was there, I was doing the things. I got assigned, like, the clinical track that I wanted, like, my number one choice.
Yeah. I remember.
And I was like, fuck this.
Yep, you're like, no. I remember getting our assignments, and you got your number one choice, and I got my number 12 choice.
It was like the last thing you wanted.
Literally like 12 out of 15, and I was like, okay, I'll make the best of it. And you're like, fuck this. And I'm like, you got your first choice.
Because, so I got my choice for the methodology that I wanted, like the clinical orientation. I got that. But it also meant that I was at a clinic that was open Saturdays. And I was like, fuck that. I had work on Saturdays. Yep. And so...
Oh, I'm not in any way suggesting there weren't legitimate things. I just profoundly remember being like, you got number 1 and this is an issue for you. And I got number 12 and I'm figuring out how to be okay with it.
So I had this moment of, like, I'm on this path, and it wasn't that, like, it actually wasn't that anything was really coming up in terms of blocking me from my goal, except my attitude and, like, views and stuff.
I remember having a conversation about that. I'm like, I don't want to be mean, but are you really sure this is something you want to keep doing?
You're making that sound a lot nicer than what you actually
said. That's why I prefaced it with, I don't want to be mean, and then said something mean.
I believe she actually said something more along the lines of, if you're gonna drop out, just drop out.
Yeah. Like, this is the time. This is the moment. If you're gonna do it, this is the moment for it.
But, like, that's one of those times where, like, pedal to the pavement, like, I had to let myself be okay with changing my mind and not being so hung up on, like, a predetermined goal and everything, where I let myself walk away, because I guarantee you, if I had stayed through the program and done that, I would have been a shitty clinician. I would have been unhappy. I would have done a disservice to those clients. Like, every single client that I would have seen those years ended up working with somebody that wanted it so much more than I did in that setting. Well, yeah.
I'm just going to stop you for just a second, because even thinking about putting all the, like, things aside with clients and thinking about how upset you were in that moment, I can't even imagine all the other milestones that were coming in the program and having been through them now, like, and having had to deal with them, how that would have affected your own personal well-being, your own personal mental health, to have to go through all those milestones, which more pressure, more, like,
more
stress, more stringent rules, more like, this is the schedule you need to be on, these are the steps you have to take, there's no flexibility here, and what that would have done to you, right? clients aside, because I agree, you have to think about client well-being, but we're talking about you and your own mental health and your own satisfaction and your own, like, I'm happy with my life. And I mean, you kind of went through them by proxy trying to deal with my madness. And I think about sometimes what that process would have been like for you, knowing your reaction to the very first milestone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. And I think, like, all of this is to say it kind of doesn't matter how far you are into the system and stuff. Like, you'll know. And I know that people are going to, like, message me and email me about this and be like, well, how do I know that it's okay for me to change my mind? Because that's what it was the same question that I had for this person around, like, the money goal that I had to consume. I was like, how do I know it's okay? You know. Like,
Yeah, that's it. Trust your intuition time.
Like,
right?
There's a gal who I love, and some of you guys probably listen to her podcast, Cara Alaleba. She has a quote that says, "Trust your gut, that bitch knows what's up."
Totally.
Like, yes.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's no check. There's no checklist.
There's no point of no return.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that I'm so far along I can't quit now. Well, that's your own choice. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. Now, you can choose not to. Like, you know, in year 4, I could have been like, I want to quit now, and I could have decided that that wasn't the right action and I wasn't going to do that, but I could have always done it.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, it's never a question of not having a choice. It's kind of a question of saying, you know, I am consciously choosing to continue on this path, and this is why.
And, like, there are so many people that say, well, I have to do this, and everything. And
you choose to.
Yes.
You choose to do that. You don't have to, you choose to.
And not to, like, take this into, like, a darker realm or anything, but I think of clients that I worked with before grad school who were residential clients, and their kids were taken away, and there was a lot of shit going on, and being in residential, like, even if you're in residential, like, you're there, but you don't have to see a clinician. Like, you can choose to not leave your room.
Yeah.
And we had clients that would,
Sorry, go ahead.
We had clients that would refuse to engage with our clinical staff.
Yeah.
Even though they were court mandated to participate and all these things. Like, no one's making you do anything. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. I was thinking about that too. I'm like, well, what about clients who are court ordered? The truth is, you always have a choice. The court is not holding you by the hand and dragging you into the group. Yeah. They're not holding you by the hand and dragging you into that room. You are making a conscious choice to say, here are the consequences if I don't. Here are the consequences if I do. And this is the decision that I'm making. Right? So, yeah.
And not to make, like, any sweeping assumptions about the folks that are listening or anything, but I feel like if you're listening to this, you're probably not court mandated for things. Like, you have a sense of, like, autonomy, and you're able to make your own decisions, no matter how much you feel like there's this, like, external pressure.
Sure. But I think it's a really good example to say, even in that most extreme of situations,
you still have autonomy.
Yes. I'm really big on autonomy and client choice. I'm really into, like, the idea that you make your own decisions. You reclaim that power. So what's going to make you feel empowered? If the choice to stay on the path you're on is going to make you feel empowered, great. Do that. By all means, do that. No matter how hard it is, how much work it is, how much short-term, like, crap it is for you. Stay on the path. You're feeling empowered. If you're not feeling empowered, that's a chance to say, what would make me feel empowered?
Oh my God, I was just talking with this person a few weeks ago where they were working with someone, and then, like, they had a session with them, and then this person went off and, like, made huge life changes, like, got a fucking divorce. Ooh. And just then, like, showed back up and was like, I'm feeling great. And was, like, just, like, so empowered in those moments.
Yeah.
So, like,
I think we're inclined, even in those moments, like even my reaction, I was like, whoa, that's a lot of change.
Yeah.
And yet, to hear that she felt empowered, it was a she.
Perfect.
Perfect then.
Yeah.
You should absolutely be doing what you're doing.
So, okay. I think we've covered the decide whether or not you're on the right path portion.
You got that, right?
What
A
was
little bit down the rabbit hole there. I don't know. But I feel like we're talking about kind of the essence of therapy, of life coaching itself, right? It's this exploration of options and the conscious choice to choose what you choose. Like, you can have 3 options and explore them all,
Yes.
and then not make any changes, right?
Yeah.
You're really talking about the essence of therapy. So for me, this is a topic that's very close to me because this is what I do. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm invested in, is that you have choices, you can explore them, and make your decision.
Yes. And, like, it could be something that you haven't even tried.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let me look at my notes really quick. I feel like
We're a little off on a tangent there.
we need to wrap up, but
Okay.
also, I mean, maybe...
We'll talk to you about the rest of it another time.
Let me see. No, I feel like this gets to the core of, like, what to do when things don't go right. It's a perfect time to reassess.
Yep. Reevaluate.
And along the lines of, like, what to do when things don't go right, even if things are going right, like, if you feel like it's a moment where there's, like, where something bigger is at play, and I feel like a lot of you guys kind of may just know those times, then that's also a check-in of, like, am I on the right path? Like, all this is to say, stay aware of what your path and what your goal is, because if you don't constantly check in with what you want, and I think this is where I kind of, like, got lost on the whole grad school piece, because, like, I had a goal that I just kind of, like, held on to and stuck with and didn't check in about.
Yeah.
If you're not checking in constantly, daily, then you're going to wake up and be like, what the fuck's going on and why am I doing this?
Daily, weekly, whatever feels right to you. Right? Like, depending on the goal.
Yeah.
Some goals you have to check in hourly. It just really, really, really depends on how short the time frame is that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, flexibility.
And
It's a thing.
Yep. Flexibility and self-awareness. Those are the keys.
Well, and it never hurts to explore options, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever got hurt from exploring what options are. I mean, you can just think about it and self-reflect and talk about it and kind of mull it over and then make your decision. It doesn't mean you have to change. It doesn't mean you have to stay the same.
Yeah.
Could be somewhere in between. It could be somewhere a little over to the side. Like, it just kind of goes over, like, kind of really... I hate to tie it back into things I talk about all the time, but it really ties into that it's not black and white.
Totally.
It's not an either or. It can be an and. That's so important to me, so important to how I work, so key to my worldview. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be either or.
Well, that's my whole thing. My whole thing is, like, you don't have to choose.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think that's it for today.
We're good.
Go off, go live your life, don't choose, embrace all the things.
All the things.
And, okay, if you like this, then please go ahead and give us a rating. If you like this, then please subscribe. If you didn't like this, then maybe, like, share it with someone who you think may like it.
Or tell us why you didn't like it.
Or
I'm
give us some
curious.
feedback.
Yeah. I'm always open to feedback.
We love feedback.
Yep.
But, you know, like, we're not doing very many promos besides what's on social media, so you guys are the way that our message is going to get out to the rest of people, so give it a share, give it a like, subscribe, do all the things. You can find me at DesireeW.com and on all the social media at DesWMsMBA, so DEZWMSMBA. And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.